The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see all of you here this evening. My name is Nancy Farrell. I'm with my colleague Joe Segroy, and we work on outreach for the SouthCoast Rail program. And you're going to meet Jean Fox in a minute. She directs our outreach program very ably, I might say, without trying to embarrass her. But it's great to have you here, and what we're going to do is give you an update on where the project is now. We have a fairly short PowerPoint that shows you some of the stations and the things that we're working on. And after that, we'll ask you to hold your questions. And then after that, we have a microphone down front, and you can come down and ask your questions. We look forward to hearing your thoughts as well. And with that, I'll ask Jean to step up. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to say we're happy that Mayor Coogan is here. I know I saw him somewhere. Oh, there he is. There. Great, thank you. And we'll have time at the end for other elected officials who may come and for your questions and comments. Jean?
Thank you, Nancy. It's certainly wonderful to be back here. We were doing the math on when the last time was we were here, and we were talking about assessments. This is much more exciting. We're now in a really exciting place with the project, and a lot of the reason for the excitement is the support and input from the community. We've prided ourselves on making sure our community is informed about where we are with the project every step of the way. Many of you receive our weekly e-blasts. Some of you have told us enough already, we have enough information. Others have said that they've been very grateful to have that during construction. Construction can always pose its inconveniences, but the City of Fall River has lived through much of that for many years, just as recently as the Spaghetti Ramp project. And now we're doing the Boulevard project, and we've done SouthCoast Rail. So without further ado, I've got my driver, Joe. Many of you will remember that we are extending Middleborough service down to the City of Fall River and also New Bedford and Taunton. That southern triangle piece is what we've worked on. It's active rail. Freight trains have been running along it for years, but there's still a lot of work that needed to be done to make it ready for commuter rail service. So the clickety-clack jointed welded rail is gone for continuously welded rail. All new tracks been installed, and we have 6 new stations. And then at the end of each line, per MBTA requirements, we've a layover facility. I want to assure you that a layover facility is not a maintenance facility. It's a place where the trains are parked at night and where they leave from in the morning to go on their trips north. There will be cleaning there, and in the winter months when the temperatures are very chilly, there are plug-in machines so that we don't have to run the trains to keep the diesel from getting all messed up. So we also have for phase 1 the contract status. The Fall River secondary line, as you all know, is substantially complete. We are, however, still working on some punch list items. The larger, the $403.5 million Middleborough secondary New Bedford main line and the systems contract, that construction portion is nearing completion. The final track civil and station work are expected to be substantially complete later in the spring. The automatic train control and positive train control systems testing and commissioning on all lines will continue through this spring. And then after that, we have operational qualification field training, and then the Federal Railroad Administration requires a simulated service demonstration. So that is operating trains successfully over a period of time, but without passengers. So they have to operate on the schedule, they have to find their way into South Station, they have to find their way through the pinch point. It's how you fine-tune the schedule. That is required by the FRA. The off-site traffic mitigation project is pretty much done. I think you guys will get a kick out of this. We went and ordered the trailblazing signs. Those are usually purple, but right when we were ready to go put our trailblazing signs in, the rules changed. They have to be green. So the signs you see on this slide are what will direct people in the city to the station. And just for future reference, if you wanted to know why we couldn't do purple, that's only for Easy Pass. Who knew? So the off-site mitigation was largely work around station areas, intersections, things like that. They've done a lot of work. They did the President Avenue area where the D'Angelo sign is. They did work in Taunton and Middleborough, some signal work in Lakeville. They did a good job. They're about done. Just have to put those signs up. So the New Bedford Ped Bridge is another piece of this puzzle. It's under construction right now. We have the false work up, so when you're driving on Route 18 or Acushnet Avenue in the city, you'll see what looks like a really awful looking bridge. Don't panic, that's not it. That's to hold the bridge, the final bridge, once it's erected. And it's going to be, as you see in the graphic there, a tide arch bridge. We worked tirelessly with the city of New Bedford on this design, and this will get people safely across Route 18 and Acushnet Avenue. It will also probably help serve the C Street ferry service downtown over to the area where the ferry parking is. This bridge will also boast some local artwork, and in the final analysis will be owned by the city of New Bedford. The Fall River Station also shows some of the amenities that we have for every station. This is a side platform station, a typical MBTA commuter rail station, 800-foot platform, 100-foot roughly canopy, all the signage, bike parking, benches, stairs, ramps, EV plug-ins, and essentially that's what a side platform station looks like. And you'll see when we get to Taunton in a couple of slides, it's a little different. You can see on the next slide the schematics of what our crews went in with and what it looks like in the end. It looks fantastic. The ramp that leads from Pierce Street into the station is covered, so people who get off the bus on Main Street and walk down the street can get onto the ramp right into the station area, the ramp area to the platform. Now, East Taunton is a little different. It's a center island platform, so it has tracks on both sides. That means you need multiple modes of access and egress. So it has elevators, it has ramps, it has bridges, it has a lot of complexity. So that station is not done yet. All the other stations, as I've mentioned, are mostly complete. Certainly on Fall River, that's the case. On the New Bedford line, the stations on that end are very close to complete. This one still has a little ways to go, but it's coming along. There's a lot of concentrated effort at that station to make it ready for passengers, and that will be continuing for the next couple of months. Freetown Station looks a lot like the New Bedford Station, and it's only a few miles down the road. Again, it has the similar amenities. All of the stations will have a lot of lighting and a lot of cameras for security. And then again, the EV parking, handicap parking. Next slide, Joe. So here we have, are we in Church Street?
Middleborough.
Oh, Middleborough, I skipped Middleborough. I can't do that. Middleborough is another side platform station looking really good. We've had a few site visits out there. It's going to have a direct connection from 495 into the station, which is nice. I will say that's true in Taunton too. I forgot to mention that. Taunton is doing a huge interchange project, 140-24, and then one of the ramps off 24 will be a dedicated ramp into the station parking area. So now I can go to Church Street. Church Street and New Bedford stations are about 99% complete. What you're seeing in this photo is old. The canopy roof is on now on Church Street. They're doing some final conduit work. Very little, I think an LCD screen has to go into one of them, minor stuff, mostly punch list. And then they'll have to get all the inspections. So critical items for revenue service. No, New Bedford, it was, oh yeah, see, he printed two on one sheet, I'm confused. New Bedford, again, is similar, side platform, but it's right next to the C Street ferry, so that's gonna be wonderful. We're sharing the parking with C Street, and then the bridge will connect directly over to the New Bedford station as well. So, what do we need to get this thing rolling? The East Taunton station, as we mentioned, needs to be completed. And we have automatic train control testing. So what is automatic train control? It basically sends signal indications to the train cab in addition to using physical signal lights that you see outside. These signals are part of the positive train control system and alert the engineer of any potentially unsafe condition. There are some 2,000 tests required for that. Get to positive train control. All of you will recall, not that many years ago, the federal government came down across the country and said everybody has to have positive train control for safety. It's a monitoring system that alerts the engineer when there is either a train-to-train potential collision, or if it's going too fast in a certain area, or if it should be entering a construction zone and it should slow down. And if the crew doesn't respond, the positive train control takes over. So this came in light of a number of pretty horrific train accidents. And this is, through a system of transponders, a way to alert each individual train what's going on and helps take control if there is something dangerous down the tracks. Fire life safety training. We also have to do safety certification of some 200 safety elements. So every bridge, every culvert, every grade crossing, all the walls, all the tracks, all the stations, all the layovers, and the equipment have to be safety certified. And then we'll have the operational qualification field testing. That will allow our locomotive crews to understand the route. And then we also have to commission all that equipment for service. Then we have to do the one I mentioned before, the simulated service. After that, successful implementation and run, we'll be ready for revenue service. And MBTA Railroad Operations is the lead on rail activation and on getting passengers on these trains. I wanted to update you on where we are with construction, but I want to go to the next piece that is critically important to all of us in this room, and that's safety. This past weekend, we had a vehicle enter the right-of-way at the Tipsy Toboggan and drive 1.7 miles on the railroad tracks over to Mello's Chorizo. Now, if a train had been on those tracks, those people wouldn't be here. They probably thought it was a fun thing to do. It could have been an error, but you have to stay off the tracks. We're going to have fast-running test trains in this area very soon. And they're going to be running in some areas at speeds up to 79 miles an hour. You are used to 10 and now 25 mile an hour sporadic freight traffic. You are not accustomed to commuter rail locomotives traveling at fast speeds. We have been blessed to have been able to use the right-of-way to walk the dog, to go take a little walk in the woods. You can't do it. If you can deliver that message safely, I would appreciate it, but I'm also available to help deliver that message elsewhere. I will say that when those test trains are running, all of the grade crossings will be functioning with signals and gates. Fall River doesn't have any grade crossings, but I know you drive outside of Fall River, so if you're going into Freetown or Berkeley or Taunton or New Bedford, there are grade crossings, and we ask you to heed all those lights and signals. We have a program called Safety First that the outreach team has put together and the MBTA has adopted as a great way to get the safety message out. So we've done targeted emails, we targeted schools, communities, sportsmen, ATV users who now are out and about. And by the way, if you're on an ATV and a train is on the tracks, you're not going to hear the train coming. We have a lot of brochures. We brought some today. We got a grant from Operation Lifesaver, so we were able to secure a lot of materials that we are distributing. And our information has been adopted, again, by the entire MBTA for a commuter rail safety website that you're welcome to visit. We also have been giving presentations in schools, community groups, and we're happy to do more of those. The messaging has to be very clear. We are encouraging everyone to read these flyers and understand the dangers of being near the right-of-way, particularly in Fall River, where there are so many areas where the right-of-way is extremely narrow, that even if you did hear a train coming, you probably wouldn't have much leeway to move. So that's an important message, and I don't mean to be somber about it, but I'm very concerned that we are still seeing people trespassing, and it is trespassing. It is illegal to be on the right-of-way. Again, over 60 years, we were able to enjoy it without worrying about risk to life and limb, but that is not going to be the case in very short order. And then again, the test trains are going to start. I can't give you a date certain on that, but they are definitely coming this spring. Again, they can go up to 79 miles an hour. Please keep in mind that the only safe place to cross train tracks is at a designated pedestrian or roadway crossing. Any signals you see, pay attention to them. We used to see signals all the time, but there were no gates. We didn't see a train. We go plowing through. Can't do that anymore. They're quieter, too. The other thing about these trains is they're push-pull locomotives. So the locomotive will go one way, and then the engineer goes to the other end of the train to a cab, and the locomotive pushes it out. So that's all great, except it makes it really hard to figure out which way it's going. Really, really hard to figure out which way it's going. So I encourage you also to look at some of the videos that we made for Safety First. They're age appropriate, so we have an elementary school one, we have a middle school one, we have a high school one, and a general public one. And it explains the difficulty of understanding the directional piece of where the train is and how it's so difficult to hear, because it is quieter than you think. And again, please don't hunt, please don't fish, please don't use your snowmobile or your ATV or your dirt bike. It's not a recreational area, it's a dangerous area. So I'm happy to see some public safety in the room today. He brought his wife, too. And we worked very closely with you on the drill we did in July in Freetown. We meet quarterly with the fire life safety team to go over concerns for first responders. Again, where you have not seen traffic in this area for so many years, this is new to your first responders. And the last thing they want to do is be unable to respond appropriately to any rail emergency, whether it's somebody getting hit in a grade crossing or a derailment or anything. And they've already worked with the local freight operator, Mass Coastal, so they have some knowledge of trains, but these drills really help them understand what you need to do to rally and get people off and say it's a mass casualty event. Get them off, get them triaged, get them taken care of. And I will say that the one in Freetown and the subsequent one in November in New Bedford, very well attended. We came out of that with after-action reports so that all the departments see where things went really, really well and where they could use some tweaking. So I think that was good. And we're going to offer some additional training to first responders. They expressed loud and clear to us that they're very excited about the train coming, but their first priority is saving people. So we want to work with them. We're targeting May right now, just so you know, to get that additional hands-on. So we had very good results from those 2 drills. The MBTA does at least 1 drill annually, but it could be anywhere in the system. We did 2 down here because it's so new for our region. And community outreach, a lot of my team is here, and I've got others here from the T that I work with every day to get this project, to see it over the finish line. Please reach out to us at any time. Again, we do meetings with community groups. We're doing another one next week, yes. And we are getting into some schools. We want to continue to do that, and our weekly updates, we have over 6,000 people that get those. As we get into this next phase of testing and commissioning, you will not see as much activity as you've seen over the course of 4.5 years of very active construction, because the testing and commissioning is kind of behind the scenes. It's not as visible. You don't have a lot of heavy equipment. What you have is people testing all these little components to make sure they all work well together, because in the final analysis, the Federal Railroad Administration, railroad operations, and our operator, Keolis, will not let a train run unless they are 150% certain it's ready to run safely and reliably. That's where we are at today. That's why I can't tell you exactly when we're going to have revenue service. We have a new team in our leadership that is really doing a deep dive right now to make sure that testing and commissioning goes as well as possible. If there's any way we can claw back, we will. But we are looking now at least through the spring into the summer, doing a lot of work, and we will have updates for you in the coming weeks. So I'm going to invite Nancy up. We didn't. I need to.
So we do have the videos that Jean referenced on the website, and the address is up there, mbta.com. I always forget it.
Me too.
/project/SouthCoast Rail. So there's one for every age group, kids, middle school, high school, and then the general public. And I think they're really practical and down to earth. So watching them, children, people who don't know anything about trains can learn a lot. So I would encourage you. And if you'd like us to come to your neighborhood club or whatever, as Jean said, we'd be happy to come and have a conversation. So I am going to see if there Mayor, would you like to say anything at this point, or? Okay, are there any other elected officials here? I'm sorry, I can't see well with the light. Who'd like to say something? Yes. Could you come to the?
I don't have anything to say. I'm just here to see what the progress is.
Okay.
So it looks like we're right on track.
we
Looking forward to the train conference.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other elected officials, councilors? All right, if not, then if you have any comments or questions, yes, would you like to come to the microphone?
Oh, he's got his bum knee. I feel bad.
Oh, sorry. We could have brought it to you, sorry. It's pretty high. Yeah.
Do you need information from me in
Well,
terms
if you could
of...
just say who you are, and then...
Joe Cavallo,
Hi, Joe.
Fall River resident. So I have several areas of concern.
Okay.
The first one is the MBTA is currently 1,088 workers short. That's one concern.
Okay.
The Boston Business Journal did a poll that showed that the current commuter rail service was rated as a C with grades of A, B, and C. Keolis is going to be operating the commuter rail.
Yeah.
They don't have a great history in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And the Act on Mass, which is a nonprofit organization that takes no corporate contributions, estimated on February the 15th of this year that the current debt of the MBTA is $7.62 billion with a B dollars. So my thought is, what's the cost going to be? When are these positions going to be filled? I mean, you did an article in today's Standard Times, Gene, that talked about safety, and I applaud that. However, we've had so many difficulties with the MBTA, the commuter rail, the subway system, the T in Boston, even a fatality. So I think that people need to know exactly what the answers are to these concerns. And if I could, also, the idea that weekend service has been, there's almost like a whisper campaign that we may or may not have weekend service. And what's the cost going to be specifically? So if you would.
Yep.
Thank you.
All good questions, Joe. Thank you. The MBTA is under new leadership right now. I think you all know Phil Eng took the helm quite a while ago, and it was a tall order for him. No secret that the focus has been largely on the subway system. and it definitely needed that focus. I don't think anybody questions that. And it seems like they get rid of, 6 slow zones and another 5 show up. So there is a focus on that. There's also a legislative focus to make sure the T has more adequate funding. We have years of neglect that have to be made up now, and I believe General Manager Eng has that as a top priority. In terms of commuter rail in the grade of C, since the pandemic, commuter rail in the Commonwealth is actually over 92 or 93% to pre-pandemic levels and is quite reliable. So the reliability of commuter rail continues to be quite remarkable and will continue, is my expectation. But that's why you do the simulated service. You need to make sure that our trains coming up from Fall River, meeting the Plymouth and everybody else at the pinch point in Braintree, can navigate that single track and get into South Station successfully. So there's still more work to do, and Keolis is under a tight rein right now, but we've also been working very closely with them on this project. I feel very comfortable that they are more than happy to take the reins here and extend this service. In terms of our hiring, they're already hiring the engineers we need for SouthCoast Rail. They know what they need. We need 100 people to operate. We're adding 2 train sets to what exists. So 24 trips a day right now on the Middleborough line will extend to 26. We need 100 people for that. So that's already underway. And that training is fairly comprehensive, so you can't just hire them the day before you operate service. So that's underway. The debt is not, I can't address that. I think it's a big problem, but I remember 4 years ago somebody putting out a $9 billion figure. So it's something I know the MBTA has to wrestle with, and that they are wrestling with, and the legislature is as well. But the bottom line is we deserve this $1 billion. That $1 billion investment in our region we waited a long time for. And to get people the connectivity to Boston so they don't have to sit on Route 24 is worth it. I know that whenever you build something, something else gets pushed aside or shoved aside, but in the final analysis, you put trains in, you spur economic development, you catalyze change. I feel very positive about that. Weekend service. I get that all the time. Right now, there's weekend service on the Middleborough line. I would expect it to happen, but again, that's a different department. They're still working on the schedule, and they're still working on the fares. I wish I could tell you that right now. I don't know what zone we are, but I do know that we've made it clear people want the weekend service, and it would make sense, because not everybody's going to commute. And that was a thing that Ryan Caholen said the other day. Not everybody is commuting on commuter rail. It could be a misnomer. Some people go to health appointments or school or theater. There are other things to do on the train to get you back and forth safely. So I hope that helps. I can't answer everything, Joe, but I feel confident that Keolis knows what we're doing here. They were at our drills. They watched what we did. They critiqued some of the things we did, and they worked very closely with railroad operations. And railroad operations, again, won't let trains run until they're absolutely confident that those trains can run safely.
Thank you. Yes, why don't you come up?
Sorry. Hi, yes. My name is Nelson Vasquez, Fall River resident. I, too, have some concerns. Not too long ago, New Bedford threatened a lawsuit over the price dispute over the land purchase back in 2019.
Yep.
And he referenced the point that at that time, they wasn't part of the MBTA service district and didn't become officially a part of it back into just 2 years ago in 2018
Yes.
with the vote. It turns out that Fall River is in that same boat because Duval Street, you guys purchased a parcel of land March 29th of 2019. The parcel value at that time was assessed at $80,800. And the sales price, and the city of Fall River was the seller for this parcel. It was purchased for $1. And whenever there's a price dispute, whenever something like this comes up in court, the MBTA's rebuttal to that is that they always pay fair market value for whatever land they purchase. Mm-hmm. So paying $1 is not fair market value for a price of land that was $80,000, and today is over $100,000. So you probably won't have the question, but I feel that on the way to the ribbon cutting ceremony, I feel that the residents of Fall River should be paid what's owed, because paying $1 is not fair market value. And just like how the same arguments New Bedford weighed, is that we wasn't part of the service district.
Mm-hmm.
And before you start building all of this, you have to ask the community first, as you know, if they want to join or not. If they say yes, then you start building. So that's another can of worms I'm not going to get into. But the thing is that the city is owed money for this parcel of land, and I feel that the MBTA should do right by the residents and pay what's owed.
Are you referring to the Weaver's Cove site?
This is at DeVoe Street. It's right next to that plaza, right.
Oh, where the parking is?
Yeah. So and the thing is that, again, nice presentation. You know, I want to commend everyone for putting the time in building that. But I feel like, you know, again, if we're going to do business, you got to pay what's owed.
Well, I will tell you that the process for acquiring properties is pretty rigorous. There's an appraisal done and a review appraisal, and offers are made, and there's frequently some back and forth that happens with it. So we didn't get any protests when we took those properties.
Yeah, I get that. At that
the
time, the issue didn't come
New
up.
Bedford's a little different because there was a concern that we had not adequately
Yep.
compensated the city for the property, which was a brownfield.
Mm.
So we do feel that in the end, and I believe the city's synced up with us on this, that this is a good thing for the city. It's a good thing for that parcel of land. There's only certain things you can do on some parcels. So Weaver's Cove was a primary spot, perfect spot for us to put the layover facility because of the Shell oil history there, right? So that made sense too. I can't answer what the value is. I'd be interested if you wanted to share your documentation. I could take you to real estate, the whole real estate department that does all that. But they do go through quite the process.
And again, this is city furnished documents, and it
Yeah.
has all of the previous years of the
Assessments.
and
Yeah.
it says the date, the price. And again, you know, I know you wasn't going to have the answer, but the
No.
thing is that now that this is going to be, now that New Bedford is going to make the news with that, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's been rectified. And again, people are going to look into this as public record, and they're going to bring it up.
Sure.
And again, I just feel like, you know, a lot of work went into this. I don't want a bad taste to go into stuff like this to come up.
No,
You know
we
what
don't.
I mean?
Well, obviously, we don't either. But that would be our real estate group that would
Yeah.
deal with that. So we can certainly elevate it to them. If you want to leave your name with us, and we could contact you. We appreciate you bringing that point up. We certainly didn't come in to rob everybody.
No.
We came in
I'm not
with
saying-
strategic plans about where to put stations. We bought out
No.
businesses there.
I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not making I'm not assuming you guys came in to rob. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
It's
and that was a poor choice of words.
No.
on my part.
It's further from the truth. It's that
Agreed.
stuff like this is going to come up.
Yep.
And it's just that when you have information like this readily available, it's in pure black and white. And
No,
again, you know, and
that's
also
good.
too, real quick, the level of debt that's facing the NBTA, what's coming down. We all know that this type of transportation system requires ridership. So I'm gonna give you a quick question. I think you can answer. What happens if this city does not meet the ridership that you guys need to keep this afloat every single year?
That will be something that will have to be studied by railroad operations and Keolis. I'm willing to bet. No, I'm not going to bet. I am confident that people are going to get on this train, because if you do 24 every day, you're never going to want to do it again. And see, people know what I'm talking about.
I get that. No, I get that.
It's not, and we deserve to have
No, I get
another
that.
way to get into the city. I don't think on day one our trains are going to be bursting at the seams. It's going to take time for people to acclimate. Also, we're seeing activity, people moving out of the greater Boston area down towards our region because we still have some affordable housing here, which is certainly not the case. And then we also will have students. We had, over the years, we've heard from so many kids, oh, I got into MIT, I got into UMass Boston, I got into Suffolk, but I can't live in Boston.
Yeah.
I can't live even outside of Boston.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to be able to get there. So we'll see. I think there's a reciprocal piece to it, too. I do think you'll see people coming out of Boston to see what we have here.
Yeah, and I'm just voicing the concern of the community.
and I
because
appreciate
they are, that's one of the questions they're asking.
Yeah.
They're not getting answers. So,
Yeah.
and like you said, that's one side of the coin, but there is another side.
Absolutely.
This thing requires ridership, and they just want to know
Yeah.
if it doesn't have it, what happens then? All right?
Yep.
Thank you.
That won't be an issue.
Well, let's hope not, but at least if we could have that answer, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your questions. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Oh, I see you got one of the books. Good.
Okay, I got one, yep. So my name is Kelly Aruda, and I'm a city resident, and I'm really excited about the train. My question is my office is located centrally in Boston, so I'm excited to be able to jump on the train. So my question is, how long is the train ride from either New Bedford and Fall River to Boston, or how many stops, and how much will a fare cost me? Thank you.
All good questions. Thank you. It's about an hour and a half ride from the terminal cities of Fall River and New Bedford. Don't know what it's going to cost yet because they haven't determined what zone we're in. I know they're working on it. I heard from them 2 weeks ago. We're still working on it. They're trying to make sure they can give us the best service possible for the best price, but that's a separate department. But I think they are working on some fare packages for people. They've just announced recently that they're going to have more reduced fares for low-income people, and they already do for some students. So there are things out there. Just stay tuned. Thank you. Hi.
I often have gone to Lakefield to take the train, and those trains make an enormous number of local stops every few miles. Will the Fall River and New Bedford trains all make all those stops, or can there be some express services?
Yeah, that's a question we get a lot. If they look at scheduling, they've talked about potentially doing the two shoulders, the earliest and the latest train not stopping everywhere, but they haven't worked that out yet. Otherwise, yes, they will stop at all the stations.
Not too attractive.
They're quick. They stop, then they go.
Hi,
Hi.
my name's James Smith. I have a question regarding the layover facility and the condition that it's in. I walk around a lot. I was there yesterday,
Yep.
and the street in front of it, the sidewalk is half taken up with debris. There's leaves, there's junk. The fence is in terrible condition. There's a nice iron fence there from when the St. Vincent's Home was there, and I saw section of it was painted black. It looks nice, but then the rest of it's other type of fencing. Some of it's kind of falling down.
Yeah.
It needs landscaping. What's the plan for that?
So they have punch list work, and part of it's cleaning up. On the fence, I actually contacted the Bristol County Sheriff's crew to do the painting. The fence does not belong to the MBTA. It belongs to the city, the wrought iron fence, that beautiful fence. But the sheriff's office has agreed to paint it. But when we started with torrential downpours. So they're coming back at the end of the month. They've scheduled, I think, the 29th and the 30th to come back and try to finish it.
Because the facility itself looks nice.
It does.
The outside,
I agree.
yeah.
We had MON, the landscaping folks, in several months back to do some cleanup. They'll have to come back again.
Okay, and the second question is, no overnight parking at any of the parking facilities?
You know, I don't know, because I parked overnight in Lakeville, and that wasn't a problem. But I think if you, do you guys know, either of you, Bob or Holly?
I don't think it's allowed.
I don't either. I'm thinking it's not, but I know if you,
So that's too
We'd
bad.
have
If
to
you
get
wanna
back
go
to you on that.
to Boston for a weekend, park there
yeah,
and go up there.
and that's exactly right. I think there are some circumstances where you can, but that still have to go to the parking people to figure
And I'm
that
sorry,
out.
the last question that just came to my mind. The numerous cameras there, Will the local police departments be able to monitor those?
What's going to happen with those is that their MBTA monitors first. Same thing with the blue boxes that you see at the stations,
Okay.
and then they dispatch. And that's why we are working very closely with first responders. We don't want any lag time. We want people to know that this call is going in here and somebody's got to answer it there.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Jean.
Hi.
Cheryl Montero. I live in Taunton. He just brought up a question I just want to add to. So the security cameras, it's the MBTA manning them. Are they manning them 24/7?
I believe so. I mean, they have to run 24/7. Yes, because I know right where you live too, Cheryl. And your concern is the station's right on the other side of your backyard. And you're concerned that you could have intruders.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
The timing of the trains, if there's 24 or 26 trains
Yeah.
going in each direction, are they going at the same time and landing at each station at the same time? Or is it one train going up and then one train coming back?
Do you know, Bob?
Yeah, there'll be trains going in both directions, but they have.
But they have they're staggered.
Go around the other.
So
Yeah,
it could
we
be
have
every 15
sidings,
minutes,
too.
not every half an hour.
Pardon?
It could be every 15 minutes, not every half hour.
Oh, it really, yeah, that will be the final schedule. I can't tell you that right now. I'm not sure.
And we had asked before, and you had said they were not going to be blowing the horn when they come into the station. Is that still true?
That was what I was told about that station. They'll do along the way. Bob, do you have an answer for that?
They will have to sound the horn as they cross County Street,
That's right. Right where you are.
and I believe they ring the bell when they come into the station.
Yeah, they just do the bell at the station, but you are close enough to that County Street 140 crossing there. They will definitely sound the horn there.
But worse if it goes into the station.
Sorry?
He said the bell will ring at
The
the
bell,
station as
but not the
well.
horn.
How loud is the bell?
It's a ding ding. If you watch one of the videos, you'll hear one because they do have it. It's not bad. It's not like the horns.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for coming.
Hi, my name's Robert Lettremoy. I lived in Middleborough for nearly 20 years. I lived in Brockton. I grew up in Brockton. And I know you people from when I was in Cambridge working on transportation issues there. In response to the question of parking, we call it in on the computer. We can schedule it for multiple days.
That's what I did. I didn't have a problem
That's
with
fine.
that, but I wasn't sure if we're doing that all over. Good, thank you for that.
I lived in Brockton when the train went in.
Yeah.
Before I went on the train, I took the Bat line to get to Boston, and the strongest supporters of commuter rail were the former Bat riders who moved to commuter rail. I have 2 years' experience as a railroader. When we were talking about railroaders on working the lines, a key question is qualification.
Yes.
That is on existing lines, so I presume this is people who are deadheading and learning the road, and that tested on the knowledge of the road.
Yes,
I
yes.
would think that you're going to have a lot of people deadheading or actually riding the road, learning the road, and who are then tested the qualification.
Absolutely. It's a rigorous process.
With my experience, I would think you're not looking at one key source of traffic. The biggest customers on the existing line now are Brockton and Bridgewater. And I would not be at all surprised to see the same people going to South Coast. And you're building up capacity, you're building up interest.
We are.
I think it's an excellent idea, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Robert. And I remember you from many, many meetings, so thank you for coming to Fall River.
Yes, hello. My name is Shannon Avery Damaris, and I live in Swansea. So first of all, thank you very much for the work that you've done on this, your whole team, because this has created an opportunity for me to take a position in Boston, which I'm very excited about. So, and really the fact that I have accessibility to the train factored into that decision. So I know you can't give me a specific date, but my job starts on July 8th. So I'm wondering if I might be, you know, on a train in the fall, maybe, or are we talking 2025?
You know, this testing and commissioning is so huge. I wish I could give you an answer today. I can probably tell you July's unlikely.
Yes.
Can you put it off a little bit?
Yeah. So maybe 2025.
Yeah, I mean, we have incredible new leadership now that have come in to do, because this is technical. This isn't civil anymore. We're not just putting in platforms and parking lots. This is very technical. And also remember, PTC is a fairly new technology. So there are only so many people who are really good at it, and there's only so many vendors that have the right stuff to sell you for it. So we're working in that narrow stream in an environment that says railroad safety has to be paramount. And I guess maybe in the past it wasn't. When we first scheduled this whole construction, we banked 2 to 4 months for testing and commissioning, because back in the day, that's what it was. Yeah. No longer. And for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So FRA's watching us closely, but Keolis and Railroad Operations are as well. These new people doing their deep dive, I'm hoping in the coming weeks we'll have a little better handle on when we can expect to see you on a train to your new job in Boston.
Yeah. So testing could take like a year,
months. It could
potentially.
take months.
Okay.
Yeah.
My other question is about timing of when the trains might start running. So obviously Boston is a huge medical mecca.
Yes.
Those of us in healthcare start very early. So, and that has been in the past a hindrance to me driving to Lakeville or something like that to take the train there. So I'm wondering if the trains are going to get there in time for those of us who start at, 7:30.
Yeah, well, we call it the nurse's train, actually.
I'm a nurse practitioner, so thank you.
No, there's still a nurse's train because we know we have to get everyone up to Longwood quickly and for that first shift. So typically run on the earliest train. I can't tell you exactly what time, but that train is definitely in the mix. You're welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Robert Grantham and from the city of Fall River. I'm very excited about it. I'm very supportive of it. I understand these sort of projects have financial details, technical details that have to be worked out. But overall, I'm very excited about the project, and I think it's good for the city of Fall River. One of the things that I'm sort of excited about is being able to go to the airport. I can't tell you how sort of exhausted I am with going to the airport.
It's horrible.
And so when you mention about possibly not having weekend service,
no, don't go there. So far, there is weekend service. Our guess is they're going to take the existing schedule and expand it down to the 2 terminal cities.
Right. And so the other question I have, and I don't even know if you can answer this question, in terms of the vision of all of this, and I see that Fall River has like a depot station, and oftentimes at the end of the line, you have an actual station.
Yeah.
When you go to Lowell, you go to Worcester,
Yeah.
of course you go to South Station. And I don't know if you guys have been in any conversations with the city of Fall River or where this thing is headed in terms of the vision, whether it's going to ultimately become a destination with shops and restaurants.
It could. You raise a good point, and it's a zoning point. Right? So if they zone around a station for mixed use or residential or do that kind of planning, you can see some great development like that. And an actual station, I've actually told that this is a misnomer to call these stations. They're just platforms. They're glorified platforms with covers on them, which is accurate. I can't deny that, but that's what we do in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for commuter rail service, right?
Did those conversations ever happen about depot versus a station or a platform versus
the depot is named because we had a Fall River Depot station here back in the day, which was a brick and mortar building. It's a beautiful photograph we have somewhere of it, but that's not what we're building today. If the city envisions change that fits a building or a nearby structure, for example, then the city is at liberty to work with the MBTA, assuming they want to come up to the property and do stuff. I will say that Taunton is looking at, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, 4 buildings, transit-oriented development, residential structures right next to the station.
Okay.
which will be transformed, and potentially a coffee shop. So,
So those are joint decisions?
yes.
MBTA and the city?
If you're abutting our property, or say, for example, they do a traffic impact study and you're introducing 1,000 new residents at the same time we have all these people coming out of the stations, you have to work collaboratively, as we have done all along the way with all of the road work projects that are going on here in the city. We've been at all those meetings. We continue to attend those meetings so that we don't put something in that's going to mess up the 79 project or anybody else. So those conversations, I would encourage folks that want to see more of that kind of conversation approach the city council too, on everything from transit-oriented development to a bigger station.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alaru Joe from Fall River. Very pleased to see this is occurring. I was advocating with Governor Weld in the day.
Yeah.
You know, I
So
was just-
sue me, right?
We were supposed to get it right away, you know, but anyway. But I do have a concern, and I just want to express it, and I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. But as a resident of Fall River for, you know, most of my life, my childhood, I grew up playing on the tracks.
Don't.
Right, I know. And this is, so like, I don't know, I guess kids don't really play outside that much anymore, but my life, both in the north end and the south end, I mean, it was, you know, fishing, it was getting into the water. I don't really, I mean, so this is just an expression of concern, right? I don't know how we're going to keep people from going to the shoreline, you know, from residences. And I don't know what the answer is, but at 80 miles an hour, that's kind of like a significant kind of travel rate, you know, so. I'm glad you're coming, because believe it or not, I came from the State House today, and I tried to leave early. It
How'd
doesn't
that
make
go
a
for you?
difference. It does not make
No,
a
it doesn't
difference,
work.
trust me. I mean, oh my God, so I'm glad you're coming,
know.
but that is something, I don't
Thank
know.
you. I really, you're absolutely right, and we are very concerned that people are going to try to cross the tracks to get from point A to point B. But remember, the Route 79 project is going to open up a lot more pedestrian access to the waterfront. Hopefully, people will take the crosswalks and not the train tracks. Thank you for your question.
Hi, my name is Steve Kobielker. I live in Fall River. I've been riding the MBTA. Well, when I started, it cost a nickel.
Oh.
Okay? And I've been riding commuter rail for a long time. I retired to Fall River about 11, 12 years ago. So I'm looking forward to this, but there's a couple of things that concern me. One is this credibility issue. I was a big fan of this project, and a year or so ago, we were told in a meeting similar to this what the fares would be, what zone we would be in, approximately.
Not from us.
Approximately what parking would cost. We would be the furthest zone out from the system. We were told that it would be number 9. I'm not making this stuff up. And we were told that this project would be coming in last autumn.
Yes.
Okay. Now, those kind of details I'm aware of because I was very interested. Now I find these details are no longer there. We don't know what zone it's going to be. We're not sure what the fare is going to be. We don't know when it's going to start. And this sounds rather bureaucratically typical of when a time estimate fails, because now you back off and you don't want to make any commitments. But I think what people want to hear, like over and over again, is when am I going to be able to ride this train into Boston? Okay. The last thing is, and I've raised this before, the connections to the station from various areas of the city seems to me to be a problem. I live up on Del Carr Street, which is near St. Patrick's Cemetery up in that area, Robeson. And what separates me from the waterfront and from the station are these hills. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I would like to take commuter rail when I go down to Philadelphia a couple of days at a time, or down to Manhattan for a couple of days at a time. So I'm no longer the typical commuter. It would be nice for me to get on the number 4 bus, go down to President Avenue, and then get on some sort of a shuttle that would take me to this station. But now we have a central bus station that's located in a dense section of the city,
The Lupatine Terminal?
the Fall River Central Terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we have a ferry service that operates sometimes, but they all seem kind of disjointed and they don't really seem to be pulled together.
Huh, okay.
So I know that dealing with the bus people is not maybe within your purview.
Oh, no, I have great open conversations with Eric Russo all the time.
Well, a year or so ago when they were talking about bus connections to the city, they said, well, essentially there will be none from the Highlands area.
Well, I can't speak to that. I do know that SRTA has spent a lot of time studying their routes so they can serve the station.
And I said at that time, I said, you know, it sounds kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
All you really need, and I think the city would benefit from it generally, is a way to get from Robeson and Highland Avenue down to the waterfront.
Down to the waterfront.
And right now, the typical bus system doesn't accomplish that.
Well, I'll reach out to Eric on that one, and I'm glad you brought it up. I wouldn't have thought of it, but I do know that they secured funding to do extensive studying on their routes, because the other problem with the SRTA service is it doesn't start very early.
Yeah.
And our first trains are going to be getting nurses to Boston.
I brought that up the last time. So all you do is with number 4 is just add an earlier.
Number 4.
Number 4, it goes down Robeson Avenue.
It's Robeson and what?
It goes from Central Station all the way down to, I believe, Wilson Road.
Yeah, Wilson Road
thereabouts.
does. Okay.
And then comes back.
I will ask him where that is, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Great. Thank you very
And
much.
I
Good luck.
appreciate, and you'll be on this train, I promise.
Hi, my name is John Senra from Fall River, and I was hoping to be attending the last meeting of this project, but it doesn't seem quite that way. I attended the first meeting at the City of Fall River at City Hall 35 years ago.
Yep.
And I was hoping to use the train every day, but I'm retired now, so.
I know.
But we're still working on it. I appreciate everything everyone's done, and hopefully we'll be able to get on that ride.
Yes,
Awesome. So
thank you
appreciate it.
for acknowledging that those 35 years, I feel your pain. I was there too. I had done a brief period of time down in Washington, D.C., and I moved back up here because everyone said the train's coming.
And the only thing I'd like to say too is, since this project started, there's been a lot of people with concerns about this and about that, and if the MBTA works all over the state, why not South Coast?
Yep.
That's my only question.
That's right.
It seems to be nitpicking about every little thing, but yet this isn't new. It works throughout the whole state, so why not here?
Well, the bottom line is they want to make sure it works well here too. So that's part of what.
Thank you for the team, and I hope to be on the
Thank
train
you.
sometime.
Thank you. You can go up and recreate on the train. You don't have to get to work. Ken.
Hi, Gene. How are you?
Hi. Good.
First of all, thank you for coming down tonight. As you know, we've been working on this project for a number of years, and I was hoping by now, we'd be a little bit closer. But just a couple of things I'd like to hopefully clarify and also comment upon. With regard to earlier comments about the land being sold for $1 on Duval Street, I think there was a small city piece of property that was part of that overall real estate transaction, but the large majority of that transaction was privately held land, and that was not sold. That was not sold for $1.
Thank
I
you.
think it was actually an eminent domain proceeding. They may be still litigating damages on that, but it was not sold for $1. And if the city did in fact sell their property for $1, I would gladly trade $1 for $1 billion investment anytime.
Thank you.
Secondly, with regard to an earlier comment about activity around the platform on Duval Street, I think everyone should be aware, and maybe we're not doing a good enough job of getting the message out. But that land that's being created, if you go down to Duval Street, we've removed the elevated highways, and we're in the process of master planning 19 developable acres there that are probably going to accommodate more than 1,000 residential units as part of a TOD. And in addition to the residential units, you're also going to have restaurants, cafes, some office space, and some niche retail. So you're going to be essentially creating a whole new community down there based upon the centering foundational aspect of the commuter rail platform being there. So without that commuter rail platform, we probably wouldn't have as much interest in this developable parcel of land. However, as I move forward in thinking this process through, I think one of the things we need to really be cognizant about is false deadlines, okay? Because what's hindering, it's frustrating for us, for myself in the economic development field, for others in the business community, when we get deadlines that we're going to be open up in July, then we're going to open up in December, we're going to open up in the spring, we're going to open up in the fall. We need to definitively determine when we are going to open.
We do.
Okay. Okay. I know. I need November 1st. I need October 1st.
I know. And
I need a definitive time frame. Okay,
yes,
because
I get that.
we're trying to, we don't want to have this project tarnished by this confusion. Right. I think it's too big a project. It's too an important project for the city, and floating, schedules and false starts don't help anybody.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I think with regard to the Serta bus aspect of things, I know that there will be bus service to the facility on Duval Street, the platform on Duval Street. I think we just need to figure out how that's going to work collectively and make sure that you don't necessarily have to go to the central station to get down there. So I think moving forward, we should all collectively work with Eric Russo from Serta to try to nail that down, and then get that information disseminated into the community way in advance. So again, it eliminates the uncertainty, it eliminates the guesswork, and allows people to know what's happening, right? So listen, in closing, I'd just like to say thank you. It's been a long time coming. It's been many fits and starts, but I think we're here, and I think it's going to have a very positive impact upon our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken, and thank you for all your hard work. I think that Boulevard project's going to be incredible. Is it 4 pedestrian access points that we're creating? 4. So that's going to be helpful, too. Thank you.
Hi, Gene. Joe Freitas.
Hi.
Town of Berkeley. So some of the things that we're really concerned about is really the safety aspect of the trains. We've talked about educating the public through pamphlets, reaching out to schools, just to get to kids understand that you don't play on the tracks. On the MBTA side of the house, as far as egress areas to the track, how often are those tracks inspected as far as the chain link fencing that's placed on there? And is that available for any public review at any time?
That's an excellent question, and I don't have an answer to, and I don't know if Holly or, no. The engineers are actually the best inspectors because they're traveling that route all the time. So if there's a breach in a fence, which does happen, we've already had it during construction in several areas, right? People thought it'd be fun to break the fence down. But the engineers will spot it. And then Keolis makes almost daily trips on their own. We just had this conversation with some folks in New Bedford about their concerns, very similar to yours. And then there's regular, like weekly inspections of certain things. So there's a real process that they engage in to make sure that they're inspecting everything properly in a timely manner. And then they keep logs of it. Whether or not that's available to the public, I just don't know.
Okay. So my biggest concern was engineers are in charge to ensure that they're visually checking tracks and doing their job. I imagine of course there's a process that the inspection is happening.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure, maybe who I can reach out to ensure, or actually take a look at other communities' safety concerns, especially allowing traffic to get onto those tracks.
Yeah, your primary concern is mostly the fencing and people.
Correct.
Yeah, and you're right. And we've actually added fencing to our project from where we started. I don't know how many linear feet, but quite a few.
Installing is good. Maintaining and ensuring that it's secure is two different aspects.
No, it's totally true. So if you wouldn't mind leaving your information with us.
I will.
We will contact Railroad Operations and we'll send you an email with details on exactly what they do, because I wasn't paying full attention when they were in that part of the book. But I do know they have a real process for that. So if you wouldn't mind just leaving me your information.
I will, Gene.
I can get you that information.
And we'll be looking for you to come to the town of Berkeley again.
I'll come to Berkeley again. You guys love me so much.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to Fall River. It's
Thank you.
fantastic day. I love the trains coming. I can't wait to get on it. I'm looking for a ticket. I want to be on the first train up to Boston. There was a question about cameras. You have cameras down there at the depot.
do.
Who has access to those cameras? Does the Fall River Police Department have access to those?
And they go directly to the MBTA, and the MBTA contacts Fall River Police.
So now,
It's
if this graffiti being put up down there,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Why can't we have that addressed with all those cameras?
Well, I think that's an excellent question. I'm not certain, I don't know what the resolution is on the cameras or things like that, but
I mean, if there's cameras, they should be able to see.
they should.
Yeah,
I
'cause-
do know that some business owners on the other side of the station put up their own cameras because the bridges were getting tagged and the
Right,
walls
right,
were getting
right.
tagged. It's a big problem that
It'd
we
be nice
have.
if we could get that squared away.
It was really nice. So, but the other thing you need to know is that we did put anti-graffiti coatings on all these stations.
Would be easier.
And that's only good for about 3 power washes.
Okay, my next
problem.
question is the whistle.
The whistle.
Fall River doesn't have any cross track.
No, you won't
So
have
we
that.
really won't have many whistles.
You'll get the jingling-a-ling of the bells when it's coming into the station.
Okay, so the whistle is for
I don't
railroad
think
crossings?
mostly for grade crossings, and sometimes they'll blow it if they see something
Yeah.
to give a warning. So they're allowed to do that in other
Oh,
areas.
good. And we don't know what it's going to cost me to go up there yet.
I don't know
We
how much
don't know
it's
when
going to
that-
cost you, but I'm
Is there one track coming into that station or 2 tracks?
into the Fall River Station?
Yeah.
It's one.
One track. So the train's going to, after sleeping in Sonnet, it's going to wake up.
No, it's
come
sleeping
down to
in Fall River. It's not
It's going to
sleeping
sleep in
in
Fall River?
Yeah.
And we're going to get up there early at 5:30?
Yeah,
Nice.
something like that.
All right. Sounds good.
It
Good luck.
does.
Yeah.
Let's make sure it is good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just take a couple more unless, and I'll stay here afterwards for folks, but I think I'm overwhelming you with my energy. I don't want to do that.
Please.
Hi.
Hey, long time no see.
I know.
Busy. Tom Lowney, resident of Fall River. Been into the rail project from the get-go.
Yes, you have.
And I stop in to check on a few things. I hear disturbing things occasionally and don't see it cleared up. The original proposal was doing it in phases. And the first phase was
Yep.
to get the train down here, period.
Right.
The second phase was supposed to add in additional stations, and that was, it didn't sound like a rock hard, but from what I'm hearing, that the end station was supposed to be Battleship Cove as
Yeah.
a drop-off. Is that still in for the next phase, or is that just a pipe dream again?
No, you're talking about the full build, which was the Stoughton alternative, which was where we landed, right? And then that came in at such a high price tag and with so many wetland variances and other issues and complex structures that it looked like it would be years and years and years and years to get anything again. By building this extension of the Middleborough service, we're building out the whole southern triangle, that whole piece that goes like this to the 2 cities, right? And it's a fair chunk of the total track miles that would be needed for Stoughton Strait. Our focus right now is to get this built.
Understand.
Right?
And congratulations,
Battleship
we're
Cove-
almost there, but
No, Battleship Cove was pulled out of Phase 1 because
Right.
we were all about commuter rail, and that was considered a seasonal station. Battleship Cove has great relevance and certainly would be part of what we would do going forward. We just haven't gotten there yet because this is the focus.
right, and understood. Is that still in the potential phase, or is it being killed? Because I have friends who are up.
No, we've promoted several different scenarios of ways it could advance. It's just not going to happen quickly with the focus being on this, getting this done,
Right.
making sure it's operating properly.
Understood.
But there are things you can do. We've done some early action projects, for example, and that had independent utility, were still useful, were part of the project, but didn't get the whole thing built because we didn't have $3 billion.
Right.
And the problem with the Stoughton alternative is electric, and it's expensive. And so to do that, we have to be very thoughtful and mindful as we study that from an engineering perspective, that conceptual design, what that's going to look like. And we just haven't gone down that road recently.
So is the tracks were modified and set for that for the future, all the way down to Ferry Street? Is that still
No. we're stopping, we didn't do any more track beyond, beyond the depot.
Okay.
So, and the territory is still MassDOT territory, rail and transit.
All right.
So there is talk to do some more track work potentially all the way to Gold Medal, for example. But that wouldn't be commuter rail track, that would be freight.
Okay. So another question I have for you is bicycles.
Bicycles?
Are they allowed on this part of to be brought on board to take up into Boston?
Yeah, there are certain trips you can do that on, I'm sure. I think the only time they frown on that is when there's standing room only,
Right.
right? So, yeah, people take their bikes on the trains all the time. Just cannot ride them on the train.
Oh, no. I wouldn't expect that. That'd be creative, but crazy. But just wanted to make sure that was still part of it, because the line is not always conducive throughout the MBTA.
No. Well, remember they have, if you want to go into Boston, there's the blue bikes, or I don't know what they're called now, but there's also those, so in case you don't want to lug yours.
Well, my son's in competition biking.
Okay, never mind. You're lugging the bike. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, and keep up the good work.
And thank you for coming. You have been quite the trooper over the years.
I'm just retiring here. I was hoping to be able to.
I know. Me too.
It's a similar pain. If Rome was going to be built in a day, we would have hired a contractor. I know. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, and God bless.
Thanks. A follow-up.
Hi, Gene. I have some comments I forgot to say. There's a reason why it seems to be lost in translation over here. There's a reason why New Bedford brought up the year 2019 is because they weren't part of the MBTA.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that's important is because if you're not in the MBTA cannot initiate eminent domain powers it doesn't have until that city or town is officially in it, which is why they brought it in. But the reason why I'm saying is that,
Go ahead.
is that we just heard that the land wasn't purchased for $1, and I don't care how much the project cost. The reason why New Bedford's fighting for it because they want the right dollar amount. And when you have public record showing that it was for $1, I mean, you can't turn away from that. So the thing is that you have to do right by the people, and we're in the same boat. So just to see someone come in here and just lie in front of the whole city
I would
about the
ask
purchase price, I think
would
it's
ask
totally
that we not
disingenuous.
say nasty things about people because everyone in this room is interested
totally
in the
disingenuous
project.
to say that because I come with the facts and I come with the paperwork.
Okay.
The city was the seller, no one else. That's the only reason why I even came up to bring it up.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and I told you I took notes on it.
So,
But I also know that Mr. Fiola has
but he
been doing...
mentioned eminent domain,
Yes.
and in 2019 we wasn't in it. So and that's
but
why
you don't have to be in it for eminent domain. You do not.
I know, but the reason why is the price is the price, and whatever's good to fight for is to be commended. But it was purchased for $1.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. And this will be our last question. Or next to the last.
Yeah, hello, Gene.
Hi.
just want to say I've been following the construction progress closely. Been very impressed by the quality of the workmanship I've seen. I'm particularly impressed with the changes up at Murex.
Mm-hmm.
And I followed closely the construction of the layover area here in Fall River.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding some of the trespassing issues, I do recall before construction was started, seeing kids in dirt bikes run up and down the right-of-way. I had a friend who used to live on North Main Street, within sight of the right-of-way, and I've seen more than once dirt bikes buzzing up and down that. And I noticed now it's fully fenced along that stretch. I'm glad to hear that there's at least still some thought on the Phase 2 construction further down the down the road. I know electrification is not cheap. I've heard the whole MBTA further down the road is considering electrifying everything.
Yeah, but we need a grid for that. So there's so many things.
Right. It's more, again, not so much the rolling stock expenditures, it's more the infrastructure expenditures, catenary and substations and everything else. But like I said, I've been impressed with what I've seen of the construction quality so far. Looking forward to when you actually announce service. Does the MBTA still have that $10 pass on the weekends?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one thing.
I know a
If
lot of
they do
people
have,
use
oh yeah, I've written several times under that. And yeah, that's a very nice way to go to Boston on a weekend
Certainly is, yeah.
trip. I'm not commuting anymore, but I will testify. Route 24 can be a horror show from past experience. So definitely looking forward to seeing the introduction of service. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, too.
Hello, my name is Carlos Cesar. I believe we had spoke before.
We have.
I think at the last meeting that I mentioned to you, and you will remember our conversation, that I said that this is a Boston train, not a Fall River train. Yeah. You remember that conversation? Well, I think I still have the same opinion. Mm-hmm. The pros and cons, everybody's talking about the pros. Where's the cons? I would like to know a few. Do you have a few? No? Okay, I will mention a few. Here's the thing. Fall River, it's ready for the train. We have the beautiful apartments with marble counters, beautiful elevators at the cost of people that cannot live in Fall River now. They have to move out because they cannot afford to live in Fall River. I think that's a big problem. Hour and a half I drive to Boston. Take me an hour and a half. I guess going to take me the same time by train. And I prefer to get there, have a car, and I use Uber or bus. I have my own car to drive around. So that's another thing that I don't think that will work for me. Why is a Boston train? Because I don't think we have enough students going and filling up a train to Boston every day. But we will have a lot of people trying to save money and live cheaper in here, so coming from Boston. So you probably will have more full trains coming from Boston to Fall River than from Fall River residents using the train for Boston. Well, that's, I just hope that 5 years from now, the train's going to save Fall River from everything that's going on. It's a lifesaver. The train's going to save Fall River. I just hope that 5 years from now, the train's still working with a few people riding on. So after all this investment. So people can use it. People are free to use it. I just don't think that we have enough people to ride the train to make it, and then the price is going to rise. So,
no,
the tickets.
It's public transportation, which is subsidized. That's what it is.
So
fares are by zone.
Is going to pay for another. But here's my thing.
Yeah.
Things have to move forward. Mm-hmm. Have to improve, and new things come along. And one of the things is the train. But I just want people to know that's at the cost of other people. When one person wins, another person loses, and everything. And I think that's something coming with the train. And we've been feeling already the effects of the train without the train being here yet. So that's...
Well, I appreciate your comments, and thank you for sharing your opinions. We're confident. We did the studies on ridership, which is a big black box of variables. You throw everything in and we get riders coming out of it. So that's why we had to order new coaches, because we needed the capability to carry those people. And we also did analysis of what transit-oriented development would look like in the city and throughout the corridor. So we did the feeder bus analysis. We did a lot of studies to make sure that when we hit the go switch to go to Boston from Fall River, we're ready to go, and that the city is ready to accommodate that. And the city, I think, and the mayor's not here anymore, but he's been a true supporter, as has Ken Fiola, of making sure that the city of Fall River is positioned to take advantage of the benefits that link the train will give us that we haven't had in 65 years. So with that, I'm going to have Nancy close us out.
Thank you so much. I want you to know I started working on this project in 2017. So, no, I'm sorry, 2007. 2007. So believe me, when there is a date available, we will really look forward to sharing it with everybody. And we're plugging away. We have you in mind every day, believe me, because we know how much we believe that the train is going to make a great deal for the region. So thank you all for coming. Please look again at the safety materials. If you want us to come to your community, school, church, library, please let us know. Send us an email, and we'll really be happy to come and share a lot of information. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.